Well, I've been interested in the idea of making a film about dreams really since I was a kid. It took various different forms, but about 10 years ago I fixed on this idea of structuring the film like a heist movie, taking it in an action direction, a thriller direction, and jumping off from this notion of what if you could share a dream? What if you could take away the barriers between our dreams? We all dream every night. It's a very universal experience, but we don't get to share it. If you could share it, then that dream space would become a valid alternate reality. And if you were to fight or fall in love or whatever within that space, that would have real meaning as a human interaction. So for about 10 years, I worked on this heist movie idea and eventually managed to find the emotional connection with that I needed. And Leonardo DiCaprio coming on to play the part of Cobb invested the story very much with the emotional center that you need. Because when you're dealing with the human mind, when you're dealing with the world of dreams, it's not enough to just have an interesting set of ideas. You really have to have a human connection, an emotional connection for the audience. I'd been wanting to work with Leo on something for years, and we would meet on different projects, but nothing really came together. With Inception, I was finally able to convince him, and really what I had to convince him of is that the story needed his talent, not just his charisma, but his incredible acting talent to be able to guide the audience through a complicated world. And what he does and the way he approaches his characterizations is to really try and find the emotional truth of every action that the character does and be true to that. And that has really elevated the movie. It's really opened the movie for the audience, and it was an incredibly important thing. Ken Watanabe plays a very interesting character in the film, and I'd worked with him on Batman Begins and found him to be a great pleasure, just a joy to work with. But also when you would see him in dailies, you'd see this incredible iconic presence. I thought that really would be perfect for his character, for this character I was putting together in Inception, because it's a character that has a lot of power, a lot of importance in the story, but is somewhat ambiguous. You're not quite sure whose side he's on or what he represents. And I think Ken, in the charisma he exudes and the screen presence that he has, there's just nobody to touch him. I mean, he's really an extraordinary presence to have in the movie. On The Dark Knight, we'd shot in 3 different countries, and I enjoyed that process of moving the company around and shooting in real places. So we expanded that. We went to twice the number. We went to 6 countries on this film, and we did it, and we photographed as much as possible in camera on real locations, specifically for the reason that the idea behind Inception is that dreams feel real while we're in them. And so the portrayal of dreams in the film had to be realistic. It had to feel to the audience. It had to have the textures of everyday life, of reality, in order for us to invest in these alternate realities. And so it was very important that when we were using visual effects, we were using them for what they're best at, which is enhancing things that we've shot in camera. So we put huge demands on our physical crew in terms of what we needed to shoot in camera. But these were a lot of these guys I'd worked with on the Batman films, and they were really up for an amazing set of challenges, and they rose to it at every turn and did some things that I just found extraordinary to watch.